Hi everyone. Sorry. Hi everyone. Welcome back to Survivor South Africa episode 4 recap. So today we have Josh, as usual, and we have our extra special guest, Kirk, joining us today. Kirk, so you've been watching this like since last week, or you've been trying to catch up with this series?
I started right away. I watched episode 1 right at the beginning, and then I actually watched 3/4 of the episode and didn't see like tribal. And then I went back to the link, and the link was maybe not active anymore. So I had to find ulterior means. This is not what this podcast is about. But yes, I've seen all of the episodes. I'm all caught up. And this is one of the best Survivor seasons I've watched in a while. I think it's super exciting. I have a lot of like good things to talk about with these characters. And I just think everybody should get on board and watch this, because I think the future of Survivor is in South Africa and Australia. That's my personal opinion about like the franchise as a whole. And I think there's stuff they're doing in this season that's just like kind of like changing the meta of the game. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah. What do you think about this episode, Josh? Sorry to kill you.
I love this. Like, I know I say I love every episode, but like every episode has been great so far.
Yeah.
And the gameplay is just like on another level again. And it's crazy how like nobody, like I've always hated people playing scared in games and like just trying to like survive. I know that's the name of the game, but like not actually making moves and like just getting further, like it doesn't sit well with me. So all of these players, everyone, there is not one person who is sitting back just trying to like be safe. And it's great. I love it. It's like so full on. It's I can't fault it. Besides Sean.
Well, he's got the plague, so I mean he might.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He nearly died on set, so I guess we'll give him one episode of leniency.
I mean, the doctors just came out and then basically pumped him full of steroids, slapped steroids on him, had him take a breath, like inhale something, and they were like, "You're good to go, bye." I was like, "Okay, is he gonna live the night?" Like,
I thought he was gone. I thought we were getting rid of Sean, but at the same time, we haven't seen much of him. Like the first episode. We see him on the outs pretty much. And then from then on, even though he's been to 3 tribal councils, we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Except for the very first tribal, because that's where I got back into it. And there he is, like just crazy paranoid, which is okay. The first 3 days of Survivor, we've played it. We understand. You get kind of scared and paranoid out there. But his trajectory in his arc is just crazy, because like I feel like he has like a Mike Holloway kind of like arc, because he's all over the place. He's just a hot mess. Now he's like just like Mike Holloway did when he won his season. He ate the scorpion and then got sick. And here we have Sean eating the pumpkin, was it? And had an allergic reaction to the pumpkin skin, I think they said, which I think is crazy, because all the girls are like, I ate it too. Am I going to be okay?
Yeah,
I don't know how can you get like how can you not have pumpkin in your life? Like I don't think it's pumpkin. Basically, it's like you should have ate pumpkin at some point in your life, and
surely he's eaten pumpkin before. And it could be like the skin though, because I said the skin. He maybe never eats the skin normally. I don't know.
I think it's a soup they're drinking though. Like, isn't it making a soup?
Yeah, so, like, it looks like they made a soup. To be honest, a soup out in Survivor would be amazing. Like usually it's just beans and rice, and the fact that these people have soup, they have like literally everything you can think of out there. It's just like, it's crazy.
They have a pumpkin. I don't think I've ever seen like pumpkins on Survivor that I've noticed before. This is so bizarre. And in fact, another weird thing to talk about, they have everything. They do. I feel like art, this is a good example of art imitates life and life imitates art. So like we created LRGs based on these great shows that we like. And now I feel like they're looking at our versions and like, oh, we could do some of this too. Like, let's bring in some gas station food, which I think was the basic reward today, which is what we do. We're like, oh shit, we need a reward. Drive to Speedway or whatever it is in your local neighborhood, and you're like, candy bars,
true, though.
pop, here you go. And I was cracking up about that.
I actually think South Africa is more like a sort of a live games that we made, because they listen to a lot of fans, because it's also obviously made by the producer is a fan of Survivor. So what his vision is exactly our vision. So it's like I'm actually watching a sort of really fancy live roadie games.
I totally agree. And I feel like the contestants are really open to the fan base too. They're really friendly. They're super supportive. They're some of my favorite contestants because of the heart. I gotta talk, like, the heart these players have when they win something, you feel it. They're so overjoyed. Like Dino, like rooting. Oh, who was it on? Like, that was throwing the beanbag. Like, Dino's like rooting him on so strong, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel that energy that you guys are putting out. There's just so much heart. Like, you don't see this in at the same level in modern US Survivor. Like, it's just different. And I don't know if it's because it's still essentially in its infancy, but it's good stuff. I love it.
I think the cast, like, they've got literally every single casting choice completely right. Like, I don't think there's one cast member I would switch out with somebody else, like, at all. Like, I love everyone. I think you've still got your villains, you've still got your heroes, but they're still all likable, they're all lovable. They're not. You don't want to cancel somebody at the end of the season. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. I love it so much. But I guess we better talk about what happened, because that's what we're here for, I guess.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah. So essentially we come back from the fallout of Tribal. There's not much actually happening there's not much happening of the fallout essentially from Tribal Council. We actually don't see much at all. I can't actually remember.
It's just basically the fallout. Carla and Water knows that they're at the bottom, and then they sort of, feeling bad about it.
Yeah. And then I guess we get to the next morning, and essentially Paul is rubbing people the wrong way all of a sudden. And, like, we don't see that in the third episode. So, like, is it just after one night when he's got control, he's just decided to be annoying? Like, or is it all the time and we're just seeing it now because it's the narrative of the episode?
Yes. You don't suddenly eat a lot in the span of 3 days.
Yeah.
So I think it's slowly been building up, and I sort of wouldn't like it better if they sort of insert that narrative in the beginning. So it's kind of be like a long sort of story arc that he's keep eating, and then now it's the time that he's going home. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I think if they introduced that story arc from like the first episode of him like eating too much compared to somebody else or whatever. Yeah.
You know, what's interesting, Josh, is there was somebody else, I don't think it was this episode, I think it was episode 3, that stole the reward food and ate a couple bars. Maybe it's going to end up being a thematic thing for the season where people are just getting irritated or sneaking off and eating food. Maybe we're going to see this consistently throughout. Like, sprinkles.
So.
Like, these are just like, I don't know.
It's that part of Survivor that they can't. It's that part of Survivor that's hard to edit, I think. Like, from like a viewership, right? If you're being like annoying at camp and stuff like that, it's actually very hard to edit that in because it's very like different, like, if that makes sense. It's easy to edit in like strategic talk and stuff like that, but like social gameplay is so hard to edit, and they're actually doing it quite well.
Yeah, they do. I think it's there's just, like you were saying, like, you can really tell who's like a hero and a villain. Like, early on, what does Nicole say? Knowing they're losing stuff makes me feel better. Clearly a villain edit for Nicole, who I know I haven't been to the first 3 episodes, but when she was sitting there at the very first tribal council next to Jason and just like ice princess, no emotion as he's getting completely blindsided. And when he's blindsided, half a smile. I'm like, oh, Nicole, thank you for showing us a little of your true self today.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see Nicole, Amy, Carla, Marisha. I can't wait to see the Blonde Alliance. I feel like they might just dominate. I get this feeling later down the track they're just going to be unstoppable. But that's my thought. Vince, we always think different. Me and Vince are like complete polar opposites when it comes to Survivor. Always on different ends. But it's good.
Okay, so what follow up is that we got the rating. Amy told the tribe that she wins the challenge at the Immunity Island, and now she has the information that the other tribe's going to come and grab 3 things off the tribe. So what do you think about the lie? So he just say, "Oh, I won't," so I know this is coming. So I'm telling you all.
The lie is the most stupidest thing you could have done, because they're coming to your camp. They would have a clue saying that she lost the challenge. Like, it's so obvious in your head that you wouldn't lie here. So I don't understand what Amy's idea was of them hoping that they didn't say anything about it, but that's obvious that she lost that challenge because they're rating her camp. They're just not going to rate it for free.
Yeah.
She had to have done something to deserve to be rated.
Yeah, I don't think she crosses the mind. It doesn't make sense for some other tribe to come in and raid your camp. Essentially, what's the mechanism behind it? Is that a random draw? But why am I not informed of that? She should have thought it through, basically.
There's so many instances of this already this season where people tell a half lie, but they just get stumbled up in it already. And I just love watching survivors make mistakes, because even the best survivors, even winners, make mistakes along the way. So it's fun watching them kind of get their sea legs this season and make these stupid. But in Amy's defense, okay, so this is day 10, I think this occurred, that she went to or day 11. So she's there, and so they're pretty hungry at this point. And when you get to the island of immunity, there is 4 paragraphs of text that you have to read. That's fairly complicated. I play the game Magic the Gathering, and so there's all these abilities and cards that trigger on top of each other. And I felt like that's what that was, because it's if you choose A, A1 will happen, or A2 will happen if you win this. But if you choose B, this will happen instead. So I feel like they're trying to strategize with limited rations, sleep deprived. They're let me make the best choice possible. So Amy clearly mucked it up and made the wrong choice, but she tried to do what was best for herself.
Yeah, I guess this is something we don't think of as viewers, right? We don't think of the sleep deprivation. We don't think of the food. We don't think of this. And so when we're sitting here criticizing people on moves, we're really not in their mindset, and we never will be unless we put ourselves in that situation. So I can understand that, actually. Now I do sort of feel sorry for her. But in saying that though, surely you should have thought of other people being there as well. And surely Santoni's talked to somebody about it, or Terezo's talked to somebody about it as well. So it's not the right thing. But anyway, that's my point of view.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for her, but I do feel I can understand maybe if there were other circumstances that made her make a really terrible decision.
Just have a question for you guys. What do you think about the other tribe showing the instruction to the New Zumba tribe, the whole instruction? Do you think it's fair? The whole...
Well, I guess the only reason they found out Amy lied was because of the instructions. Because when they were saying they were coming over to raid, they didn't say Amy lost the challenge. They
because Santoni gave Chappies the piece of paper with the words on it. That's right. I talked to Dustin right about this after that came out, Josh, and I was thinking that that production should think about changing that in the future and glue the instructions to something in the structure if you want there to be doubt in the game. And I think that was the goal with this twist, that maybe they should have had the clue stuck there or the instruction stuck there just so there wasn't a way to validate it.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. How like Sanchoni had like paperwork from Immunity Island when it should have like you're right. It probably should have been stuck there. I'm assuming though the whole Immunity Island twist, and this is one of my theories, originally came from like a fan made game. Now I want to find said fan made game, but I don't know what it is. But it would have had to have come from something like that.
I think
because
isn't it
very balanced in a weird way.
It's
And
Mike
also,
and
like,
Shannon
I've got
suggested it though. I think because I was listening to RHAP, I think Mike and Shannon suggested it, or is it some like another fan suggested it to the South Africa production?
Yeah, like for example, right, the fact that like we've had like the first two people on Immunity Island have a big chance of getting multiple idols. Now, my thought process behind this is usually the tribes will pick the weakest person. So they're essentially trying to give one of the weakest, like physically weakest people more say in the game with giving more idols out. And then you'll get less and less like better advantages the further you go down the path. So yeah, my thought process is the whole idea of Immunity Island was to give somebody who was more than likely a potential like early boot more of a say in the game. And it's actually worked out the way they've wanted.
It is essentially promoting that, though.
Yeah. But, like, for example, like, you can keep sending the same person back and back and back, right? There's actually no rule about it. But I think the main thing was them trying to get protection for somebody who could easily be a boot if they're not there, if that makes sense. That was one of my theories. It obviously, I think, worked out that way anyway, but yeah.
I know this isn't episode 4, but I'm still interested that Santoni's visit got so much advantage. And I heard you guys talk a lot about this, like maybe overpowered round, but I wonder still about the last idol clue that she found, because that was it was very Russell Hantz of her to just like keep looking, don't stop. I'm going to keep looking till I find something. I'm alone. I love that energy, but I was really surprised there was something out there. So I thought two theories, maybe production had already put another clue out there for a separate round of Immunity Idol, or maybe there's more idols out there than we think right now. Maybe they pre-hid more out than we're considering, which would be crazy because this is a fan thing, Josh. There's online reality games where everybody has an idol at the start of the game, and I've seen these crazy things play out online. So maybe this is that whole like art imitating life. Like, are we getting to the point where the Survivor, franchise is going, hey, let's try out some of these fan ideas. There's something to this, and let's just see what happens when real strangers in real life do it. And also, the most beautiful location ever this season. This is
it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous location. This is like the season of Africa. The U.S. is always known for such a gorgeous location, but this one, oh my gosh, amazing.
I don't understand why they're not filming there more often. Like, it's the second season in Africa in like Global Survivor. That's what they said when they went like on the first episode. It's crazy. Why not use a location more?
I think it's because it's actually in quite a commercial area as well, and I think Survivor used to be like you always have to film in not in your home country. That's why that's they're trying to push that narrative. But I think because of COVID-19, that's why they have to contain in South Africa, like our version in the Outback.
Yeah, I don't think though, like, location really means nothing. Like, location, like, I don't think it means anything. Like, they could have it out in the swamp, or they could have it, like, I don't think it actually means anything. Like, it might have, like, different types of, like, weather and stuff like that. That's the only thing that would be, like, the biggest change. Other than that, like, I don't think, like, you being at a beach or you being, like, in the desert, like, as far as, like, challenges in that base, like, you can still do everything in these areas. So I don't understand why countries were waiting to have like Fiji. Like,
I just don't get why I just don't get why we always do an island location. We could have done like something like in the mountains, or like in a desert, or like in a, I don't know, jungle, like a tropical jungle, something like that. So yeah, I mean, it does, like, if you keep repeating like sort of the same sort of settings but in different locations, kind of redundant basically. So I might as well just say in one place.
See, I think back in the day, the setting was kind of like a character. Like when you think of like the original Africa, you think of that great setting. Borneo even gives you the sense of the bugs and the rats. The Amazon, you get the sense of like a swamp and like just the Amazon itself and just that really murky environment. So Guatemala, you see the ruins right there. So I almost wish we would go back to some of that. And like you said, Josh, it doesn't matter where you play it. Like we've seen, people can play Survivor in a park. It's gonna, like, the weather is gonna impact them. But I do like an iconic setting. And so some of these where like Theresa is sitting and it's just like rolling green mountains behind her. It's just gorgeous. But it would be fun, like Vince said, to see them play in some of these other locales. I played Survivor BC on a mountain, and it was really hard to play Survivor in a mountain. It really, like, the breathing was different, just being up so high in the altitude. So I'd like to see survivors try some different locations someday too, if they're able to do that.
Well, actually, Australian Survivor comes out. Well, there hasn't been a date announced yet, but it comes out shortly, and that's actually filmed in the outback of Australia. So it's very exciting moving forward, to see something different. But I guess we better talk about the little reward challenge, because I think that's what we're up to.
Yes. So we got that. I think that's a sort of a rip-off from Australian Survivor. They're pushing sort of the walk challenge. So we got Dino and Marisha. So they got a clue saying they have to send the strongest male and female, which then they choose Marisha, obviously. I mean, and then they thought of sending Dino because they want to reserve the power male player in the next challenge, I think. I'm not sure what's the reason. They can always sit on other people.
I think they realized that like Marisha would easily defeat the other woman. Like they're like, okay, Marisha will easily beat the woman, so let's not send a stronger male just in case we need strength for the next challenge. I guess that makes sense. But you shouldn't rely. You know what I mean? Like Marisha, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have sent Marisha because like you want her in the next challenge as well. Like you sort of want to keep their strength as well. Like it's only a reward challenge for some food. Like it's not.
Oh, it's Fresh Top, which I don't know. What's Fresh Top? Can we Google it? Do they have like donuts and fried chicken?
Like Kirk said, it sounds like a servo gas station. Like it sounds like a. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what it looks like to me. Like those.
Yeah, like fresh stop. Like you're stopping at somewhere, like stopping to get fuel or gas, or like that's what it sounds like to me. But I have no idea. I'm not South African.
But can we talk about like how many sponsorship we get, like product placement, like the immunity challenge as well? I mean, then we got like the protein shake, the raincoat.
I love it. It's good. It's good to like. It's good that like a lot of these brands are getting into like Survivor, right? Which means like they're pushing like the money into it as well. Which means like there's only going to be more and more seasons coming out because there's so many brands having like that as their main show to like advertise on. So like it only gets better and better.
I really liked in the challenge how Chappie's finally kind of like he got knocked down one peg because when he beat Dino and then like after that Marisha won and then they have to play against each other, and I feel like he thought he's like really pumping up Warda. He's like, okay, let's just like strike right when he hits, let's hit it, let's get him off balance, we'll get there. And then like Marisha literally tanks. She just walks through the entire challenge like practically dragging Dino. It's like she's Superwoman. What? So, and then the other thing, like I talk about the heart, when they won the reward, Dino is so excited. He's like jumping in the air like he's on the Price is Right. Is that game shows in Australia too, right? I think so, right?
Yeah, it does,
so it's like they're so excited. It's like he won the car or something. And he's like, and Marisha, and they're hugging. And I just love how excited they get when they win stuff. Like I go back and I rewatch it because it's so real. You can tell it's just not faked. And Dino is such a goofball from his arc from episode 1 till now, like watching him like totally, I don't know, be selfish, steal things, muck up, lie about, telling another team, to winning the challenges, winning another reward, winning the puzzle. I mean, man, this guy's got some possibilities.
And we also get like confessional that Marisha saying that, oh, I'm really connected to Dino now, so I'm really glad I had this little time that I can spend with him. So it's all positive edit for Dino at this stage.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that somebody that like could grab like an idol at the start actually have like some social gameplay now. Like I don't think though, like I've always had this argument where it doesn't matter what happens in the pre-merge when you go to merge, but like also, right, I still think like you build your pre-merge up to help your merge though. Like, you build your connections in the pre-merge to build your merge game. However, I don't feel like Dino taking the idol in the first round should affect him in the 5th round. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it should actually play a part. I feel like maybe 1 or 2 rounds it should affect, and that's it. Like, I don't think, like, personally, I don't think I would even, like, vote Dino out because he took an idol in the first round. Like, it didn't affect anyone, him taking it.
I guess it comes down to your social game. Like, if you're likable enough, no one wants to vote you out, even you have that. So, like, if you like, you can do a lot of crazy things when you have the capital to do it. You can get away with things if people like you.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess we should.
Well, one more thing I just want to talk about from this reward challenge. I thought what was interesting was the reward. So they got to pick 10. Well, they had 2 choices when they finally went to their jungle gas station. They got to choose between 10 items of whatever, like a 4-pack of smoothies, and then or 5 items and 1 for each of you. Like let's both bring a sneaky thing. And similarly to what we were talking about, they thought the best idea was to take 10, bring the piece of paper, and prove to everybody, now I'm a trustworthy person. You believe me. And it's good strategy, I think. I think they made the right choice there. But I don't know. I would have been tempted to sneak a candy bar for myself.
I'm actually surprised there was no like clue to an idol, or like there was no advantage or something like that. Like, why was there no moral dilemma in that instance?
Because,
like, it was clear, but there wasn't, if that makes sense. Like, an item each, that's great, right? That's great. However, like an advantage each, like that's where I would then be thinking, maybe I take the advantage. I'm still taking food back from my tribe.
I think it's because we've got the immunity island, and I think that's where all the focus advantage from. So they want to focus in that one area instead of having drop this, drop that in every scenario. So I think that's what they probably do. And I also feel like with what we always say with the clue, like if they actually stuck that the instruction on somewhere and not let them take it back, this is what you want to create. You want to create like, oh, do they have something that I'm not aware of? Is it like, do they get to pick 20, but they only pick 10 and they pick something else? Like if that's a production one to push that, they should have not allowing people taking instruction to show like, hey, this is what happened. I'm not lying to you.
I think it's really interesting, Vince, because in Modern Survivor 2, like idols and clues are everywhere nowadays, and people find idols or clues without clues to these locations. So I think like when a person gets a clue, they're not really getting a clue. It's like read it and try to memorize it, which is something that's difficult to do when you're out there anyways. That might add a level of challenge that I think we could bring back to some of these twists. Because right now, Modern Survivor is like you go to the island and it's like, give me treasure. Like where's my treasure? Gimme. It's not as hard. But like Santoni proved, if you do work hard, you could still find something. And I just got to say, when they brought that food back to Vuna again, like their reaction, they were so supportive and excited. I mean, how can you not love these people? They're like, even though they're playing this game, they are just so supportive, just way more than we see in US Survivor, just so cool. And on top of it, the nice juxtaposition, because you think about this, where they're winning all this food, there's all this good morale, juxtaposed with Paul eating all the food and like like Amy saying, Paul, what is it? Like, eat your way out of this game, or was it Carla said that? Eat your way out of this game.
Yeah, sounds like a Carla. Sounds like Carla. Yeah. Actually, I want to talk about Carla for a sec. Carla is amazing. Like, I love her this episode. Like, hands down. Like, I didn't like her in the last episode. We had like a lot of issues with Carla in the last episode from what she did. However, like this is such a redemption episode for Carla. It's really good.
I really like the complex edit some people get. Like, you can, it's like human being. Like, we all have our flaws. We can be this, and we also can be nice. So like, I like to see like this complex character for Carla as well.
Yeah. I guess after the reward challenge, we pretty much just see people eating, and we actually see the 4 girls talk. This may have been before the reward challenge, but we see the 4 girls talk. So we see Water, Amy, Carla, and Santoni talk from I was going to say Zumba. It's not a Zumba Zamba. Yeah. So we see them talking, and Santoni's talking about flipping the vote on Paul early on in the episode, building up a narrative, obviously. But Paul's in her alliance, and can I just say, she got Paul to tell Tyson about the idol, and then now she's targeting Paul. It is so good. I love it so much.
She's
like, you do my dirty work, then I'm getting rid of you. Then nobody knows that my dirty work was done, and she's just cleaning up her tracks. She's amazing.
But I also think that it's sort of come out of nowhere. Like, it would have been nice to be like, sort of like in a hint, be like, oh, I'm actually with those 2, but like, I know I'm in the bottom, that kind of thing. Like, at least set it up. But like, just be like, oh, I want Paul gone because he's eating too much. But like, it's kind of out of nowhere for me. Like, I understand if what Carla and Boda said that, but for her, it's just sort of out of nowhere. Like, I thought that's her type 3, but apparently she knows she's in the outs and the bottom. I mean, we all could see that, but it just sort of, it would be nice if she actually mentioned it beforehand.
But she's like taking people, she's like making like legit all the moves in that tribe. It's amazing what she's actually doing. And like, for someone who was like the unfit girl that was like meant to go first, to now having all these advantages, and to now having like the social gameplay to back up her game, and also to have like the strategic gameplay as well. She's phenomenal.
She's so good. And she's got that backup plan at Tribal. And every time we go to Tribal, I'm still looking for the hole in the wall. I'm like, which hole is it? Like, does she know which one it is? And the other question I have is, I know that Tyson found the other idol, but Chappie's, I don't think, grabbed the other one. Isn't there still one idol at the other well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so slow. It's day 11, people.
I wonder if they actually found it, but they don't show it, or like they show it when the other episodes. I feel like if you have like 6 days, you can't tell me you can't find it, because Tyson found it quickly, like in like less than 30 minutes. So like, I don't think they hide it that.
Isn't there an episode on an American season? Now I can't remember. Isn't there an episode where they actually don't see the person finding the idol and then playing it, and then like it's what? I can't remember this season. What was it?
Yeah.
They did it twice. They did it recently again with Ben's season, Heroes Hustlers. But Amanda Kimball, I think, is the most famous instance.
That was amazing. Like, that's great editing. Like, it keeps us as a viewer like wondering if he's going to play it, like wondering what's going to happen, and then they pull out this idol from nowhere, and then they have like the back scene of them finding the idol at Tribal, and it's amazing. I love that edit, and I just hope that like maybe like in the future episodes, Chappies gets targeted and you see him picking up the idol. And
no, I actually would like it if what they do is like someone mentioned like, oh, I can't, like maybe San Antonio or Chappies like, oh, I can't find that idol. Someone has found it, but they don't show who found it. And then like at the Tribal, they just whoop out like, hey. So you kind of mentioned like the idol's been found, but they don't tell us who found it. So that would be like another sort of great editing they could put in there.
So all you Survivor people that end up watching this and find out from production, like literally listen to the fans. We have been saying this for a while that we do like these creative edits around the idols. They think we like dramatic irony. They think we want to know everything about it, but that's not true. We like surprises. We like blindsides. We like knowing just enough to give us a clue and then give us a great surprise. That's always fun for us at home. So I agree. Like, change up the edit for the idols, make it fun every once in a while, surprise us.
Yeah, don't let us know. Like, I'm happy with like knowing a couple of idols and a couple of plays and stuff like that. But like, have an episode where it's like you don't know who's going home. Like, there's 3 or 4 names out there, right? Everyone's on everyone, and like randomly this person just whips out an idol out of nowhere, and it just completely blindsides like one of the biggest threats in the game or something like that. Like, that's a Survivor I love. And when I get like an episode like that, I am just like, I'm all over it. Like, I love it so much.
And it also saves time for watching as people finding things in the jungle. Like, I don't want to see like 40 scenes of people doing the same thing.
Yeah, like 40 scenes of people running around looking for stuff. Like, I understand. Like, I love idols. I love advantages in the game. I don't mind a scavenger hunt. However, I don't like watching it. But like, if I was playing it, I would love to be in a scavenger hunt. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to be out there looking for everything and like trying to find stuff. But like, I don't want to watch that. But I don't mind doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Josh, I think you're watching the wrong show.
I probably am.
You're gonna watch Treasure Island, not Survivor.
I'd be better at that. From my previous tries at Survivor, I think I would actually do a lot better on another show.
Where we left off.
Essentially, we're just talking about the girl. Like, to be honest, we could probably just talk about the challenge now because like there's actually not much between the Raw challenge and the main challenge. So, we see Sean. I guess we could talk about. We've talked about Sean already with his.
We talk about Sean. We don't need to mention it.
Yeah. Sean's just a mess this whole episode. Like he gets the inflammation in his skin. He was trying to like take over the conversation from Paul. Was it Paul as he was eating food early on? I was just like super confused. I'm like he's definitely like not an alpha male, but really wants to be an alpha male. Like that's the sense I get from Sean.
It's so true. It's such a read, but it's so true.
I feel like I get like Shane vibe from him as well. Like he's a bit cuckoo, but like he's not that cuckoo. I guess it's like sort of eccentric character. You just.
But they're focusing on him, guys. Like when he was there at the start, and then he's there at parts in this episode. I wonder if he's getting that edit that's just gonna like sneak him through. Like I like the Edgic stuff. Like looking into that, it's like they didn't have to show his medical emergency. They chose to show that, and I thought that's interesting.
Maybe because he set out in the immunity challenge. That's why they have to include it.
That's true. Yeah. That was true. So we might as well get into the immunity challenge.
Yeah. So I guess we get there and we see Sean having to sit out, which means Vuna have to sit out 2 people. However, they're not saying they have to sit out in back-to-back challenges. So I'm very confused about this, and I don't like this. Personally.
And I also feel like they have to sit out another guy. Like, why have they can sit out another girl?
Yeah.
So I know in US Survivor, this rule has changed, and I'm not a fan of it either. I've heard that it's I don't know the verbiage they use, but I think it's you have to sit out in one like cycle of an episode. So like you can sit out back to back like a challenge and a reward, but they have to be different episodes, I think. I remember hearing this because we saw at Winners at War Sandra sit out multiple times, and I just remember this was questioned quite a bit by the fan base why she was sitting out so often, even though she loves to sit out. We thought it was like a little extensive. Like maybe it gave that team a little bit of an advantage to not have her play so that they could have been weaker. So I agree with you. I don't know how I feel about it.
I sort of think it's like you look at reward and immunity, it's the same cycle, right? So if they sit out reward, they have to do immunity. So if they only have one challenge that episode, so technically they sort of can, start fresh.
Yeah, it's like immunity, and then the next episode is only immunity, for example. Like I think they should have to sit out back to back, because like you could keep sitting out, for example, like I don't like calling players weak, but like you could sit out your weakest like challenge person, right? Multiple episodes, just keep going one after the other. And it's not right, I don't think. Like, especially like, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, Dino and Marisha should have set out in the immunity challenge.
And there's a lot of talking on that sit-out bench. I think that's the place to be in these challenges sometimes, is to be sitting there having the conversations and not messing up the puzzle.
Yeah.
Like,
why don't they have multiple people sit out? Like, why don't they have multiple, like, wouldn't you want to, like, encourage cross-tribal talk? So have, like, a challenge, right? If producers are watching, have a challenge, right? Where you have just have 4 people from each tribe compete. Or like have 6 people from each tribe compete, and then have like 4 people on the bench. But like you're allowing the cross-tribal talking on the bench as well. And so
I think
there's like a lot more like dynamics to the game as well. Like you've got to also strategize to who to put out as well in the challenges and stuff like that as well. I don't know. I think it just adds more than just like you have to sit out and that's it.
I think the only issue is editing might be hard, because you want the main focus is the challenge. So when you have 2 main things going on, it can be really distracting, and then I don't know how they can edit that. Like they can only add in snippets of the important conversation. So let's say if they're having a really important, like everyone just huddled together or like trying to speak and everything, and then you have the challenge going back on, like I don't know where you want to put your focus in. So like I understand the sort of the benefits of it, but if they can only it's just sort of divert the attention, so you not accomplish what you want. So you have to be focused on one thing, basically.
I have a question for you guys regarding this challenge too. Do you remember the first time this challenge appeared in Survivor?
I'm really not. I don't remember challenge on that, but I think it's in a sort of meat season. Maybe like I was thinking like maybe like Redemption Island, because all the heroes versus villains. Heroes versus villains.
Vince, you're right. It's in Heroes versus Villains. Now I don't think it was before that. So correct me if I'm wrong, people in the comments when you watch this later. But it's definitely in Heroes versus Villains. And one of the interesting points, Vince, that I think that like kind of like has a thread of similarity. Back in Heroes versus Villains, there was this whole episode called Banana Etiquette, where they were really getting mad at Merge, where people were eating food. And we got this in this episode earlier with the sugarcane, where Paul's eating entire sugarcane on his own without asking. And they're literally having the same conversation about, if you have one, I get one. If you get one, I don't get 0. Yeah. Like it should be 1 for each of us. And I thought that was interesting to see similarities crossing over between seasons. So some things don't change in Survivor.
Yeah.
Actually that's true. I remember this episode now. Raina actually had a post on Twitter, and it's a picture of Rob having the box on his back, and he's like, "Thank you for the tip." Could you see Raider in this episode with the box on his back trying to push it up?
I also think wouldn't Heroes versus Villains challenge aren't like copy from like sort of how do I say it? So it's like sort of they introduced a challenge before they reintroduced it. So we must have seen it before Heroes versus Villains.
I think so too.
Because typically All-Star seasons they don't make new challenge.
It does seem like an earlier challenge to me. Like it seems like a challenge you could think of where it's like, just like, I feel like it might be an early one. But then back in the day, in Heroes vs. Villains, they had to run up to the top, not run back to the mat.
Yes, they run up to the top and build a whole tribe at the top. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a bit different.
And this challenge has been done many times, and as we fans know, you just roll the block. Just roll the fucking block.
Yeah.
Can we?
smashing Paul. What is happening? Like,
it's a weird flex. Such a weird flex, and people are like, no, just roll it. They're like, no, I'm gonna carry him.
And
can we talk about the?
This is what they don't mention at Tribal Council, but this is where it starts. This is the exact moment where the misogyny and the just not listening to women starts, and it just continues on, and it's almost cringeworthy to watch how bad the listening is.
Yeah, the misogyny in this episode. Well, to be honest, it's actually the boys, like all the boys in like the Zamba tribe. It's Anella.
No, I wouldn't say all because
Sean's on the bench, so we can't count. But like, you know, like the girls are trying to tell Paul that, like, you know, it's in the wrong spot, and then he's pushing it further up. Like,
yes,
it's like, why waste your energy of pushing this thing further up? And it's like 3 stories high now, so you're not going to be able to reach it and pull it back down.
And through the non-communication, Stantoni gets hit so hard, literally flies backwards, almost hits it as hard as, what was it, Rainier, the other episode when he was like fell off.
Or Monica from Australian Survivor, where she like just completely just flat drops onto the water.
I know that one.
I want a compilation of like people just doing like bad things in challenges. Like, I'll laugh my head off.
Philip Shepard going down the slide into the ocean backwards in his like underwear hanging out. It's just like, oh gosh, they caught that. Yep, they did.
But I also think this challenge should have looked at it like and on the ground and then decided what to put up. I feel like every time they just like, okay, let's put this up, but like without looking like in general what it looks like, because it's so much effort to put it up and then you have to drag it down again. So
I think it's all the adrenaline. Like, I remember in like the season I played for the one round I was in, I remember doing a puzzle, right? And I remember just trying to put things everywhere instead of just like putting any block anywhere. I'm just like, okay, no, that's not working. So like, instead of like looking at it and then working it out, you just get like, you're in this like adrenaline mode where you just like, I've got to do it quick, and then you just don't think. And especially, I can imagine it would be only more intense on the show itself because you're playing for like a huge cash prize. You're on TV as well. Like, there's a billion cameras around. There's like probably 100 crew in the background that you can't see in the footage. So it's more intense, I think, on the actual show. So, yeah.
Can I bring up to the previous episode? You know, we have one episode. It's like Paul basically saying, "Oh, good job, Mike! Like you organized this blindside." So it sort of hinted in the beginning, like, and then Carla was like, "Oh, is it Carla or someone else?" He said like,
Carla,
typical man, you know, because I did this." So they give all the credit to the man. So it's really nice editing. I'm like, oh, no, think back.
Yeah, Vince, it's so good to the fact where I feel like you can go back in this season and see clues from almost like they build up the story of the episode before in just like slight ways. They're going to start bringing up the food here, show the irritation here, and they're giving us the reason so we can see that their actions are validated. They make sense through the edit why people are making the choices at Tribal and the choices through the game. Yeah, it's just so good. Like, everybody, you need to watch this season.
Can we also briefly mention about editing? Because I know a lot of like some people will be like, oh, this is too obvious. Like, I know who's going out this episode by just looking at the edit. But I kind of like the editing. It's like reminds me of Drew Christie in a very like, you know, he's going home, but you kind of like you just want him like, okay, he's going home, but how can they put this up? Like, please. Like, I was praying, I was like, please make this work. Carla, don't vote Carla out, please. So it's really good. I love this editing. I don't think we need to have like a lot of ambiguity going into Trouble. Like, you know, sometimes it's way too obvious. You can't just try to edit it into like, you know.
Yeah. After Zamba lose, we see them choose Carla to send away to Immunity Island. Thoughts on the choice?
I don't know why. Do we know why? Do you have an idea why they choose Carla?
Well, I think because because like 3 of the people from the other tribe, they knew Mike and her were close, and maybe they thought she might be on the bottom, just like trying to save her because Mike was originally like in their like tight 3 with water, and like Ernesto probably said something, not that you see her this episode, but she probably said something to like try and save her along that path as well.
But why wouldn't the majority?
She was in the original.
But why wouldn't the majority Zamba tribe, like they have 6 people, they could have just said like, oh, send one of us people go instead of sending.
I'm really surprised they didn't pick Sean. I thought Sean would be he sat out. Maybe they thought he was the weakest. Usually that's the strategy, is like maybe pick somebody who could be a target. I really thought Sean was going to be it, and I thought the second choice, because Amy can't go back, right? You can only go once, or can? Oh no,
I don't know.
Oh,
I really don't. I don't know. It's never been clear. We haven't been told.
Well, if they couldn't send Amy again, which I think probably would have been the best strategy, like the original Gabon, send Sugar back and keep the target maybe growing on a person, would have been to send Smash, actually, because of the prior connection. So I was really surprised. But my favorite part, guys, is Carla like this. And then she goes, fuck yeah, and she's leaving the place. And I'm like, are you serious, Carla? You're so badass. Like, I love you.
To be honest, like the first 3 episodes, I'm like, I don't care if Carla goes this episode. But this episode, like, she's like that villain you fall in love with. She's like that. Her edit is like, she has like the most confessionals as well, I'm pretty sure. When you look at the confessionals.
He was
from the second episode she did. From the second episode, she had the most confessions.
Yeah.
And then this episode, she got a fair few as well. So I'm assuming, and then last episode as well, she was actually in it as well. So I can only imagine her having the most, or like her, or probably Santoni.
But I think also Carla's really like straightforward because she tells you what she thinks. So I think that's a really good casting. So you need people who are just going to straight up tell the camera what I'm going to do, and then tell people, and there's no like filter. And she was like, just do it in front of your face, which is really nice.
What's your thoughts on her going to the island and just walking out of it? Straight up. She's like,
I think it's a good choice. I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
What do you
think? What's your thought? I think her like lying about the idol makes absolutely no sense because there is people already that have been there before. Like, say for example, if it was the first tribal council, they would have no idea. Like, for example, like if Teresa went back to tribe without trying to do anything like that, they're not going to vote for her. The whole vote, they're going to be like, oh, cool, she got the idol and she came back, and she may have like had a chance to win something else. Yeah.
Josh, do you think Nico would correct her?
Oh yeah, just before the vote. No, just before the vote. Like that's what happened this episode, right? So nothing was said at the start of this episode, like at the start of the tribal, until right before the vote.
So you think Nico should have should have mentioned the rules are basically, because he could have not mentioned it, like, and then people just assume he and she has an idol and she still can vote, all that kind of stuff.
Well, no, like he usually talks about it at the end of tribal council, right? Like regarding Immunity Island. So he doesn't like give them time to strategize before they go to the vote, right? So for example, you say on the first episode, Teresa chooses not to play and then still has the idol around her neck, right? They don't know what's happened on that island. All they know is that this person's came back with an idol around her neck and she's saying that this is immune. You wouldn't take the chance. Especially on the first vote, you don't do a move like that. So she would have been safe. She would have had a vote that round. She would have still kept her vote for the next round, but she still has no vote in the next tribal council she goes to. So she's still not going to be able to vote even on the 5th episode. So she hasn't voted for 5 episodes. I think that would have been the smartest thing for her to do then. But now I don't think it's a smart move to go back and like lie about you not being safe.
It's mostly not smart just because if you've been there, you're going to know the instructions are movable. So any of the people before you could have did what Santoni did and give it to Chappies, who has the proof, which is a totally backfire of the plan. But regardless of the backfire of that plan, I still think Carla made the right decision here, which is rarely will I say that in Survivor, because her situation just happens to be there's a reward either way. Either way, there's a good outcome and kind of a negative outcome. So you have to like balance that. And I do think she made the right choice, even though it was a clear majority that ended up happening on Paul. I don't think that would have necessarily happened had she not been there, because when she gets back, guys, we see something that I haven't noticed yet, which is the relationship she has with Warda. And I was like, whoa, this is way more than what I realized. Warda's brought to tears that Carla, this was almost stronger than a vote at tribal council. This proved to Warda that Carla is trustworthy. Carla's going to be there for her in the long haul. And I think this was a really important moment for the edit too, for us to see for either one of their stories going forward, that this is going to play out down the line. I love the relationship between the two, and I can't wait to see how it develops.
I also think that sort of made Carla can preach to like, I'm loyal. So you need like, just take me in. This is, I've done this before to my alliance. So, I'm going to be loyal so you can trust me. So like, I think she can put up a good narrative if she sort of can use that to her advantage.
Yeah, I think it also shows that like Carla is there to play too. She's not there to just like try and just get to the merge and be happy with her spot. Like, it's always, like I said, like, I love players who don't play scared, because the scared way out of this vote is to literally just play the challenge and keep safety and make sure you're safe for the tribal, right? She is looking more into the long haul of the game, right? She isn't afraid of going out third. She isn't afraid of going out fourth, right? She's not afraid of like a second or third boot. She's happy doing the move she needs to do to guarantee herself a further run in the game, which is like the best way to play in my eyes. Like, just making it further doesn't do anything for you at all.
Josh, I said in this scenario, it's Carla did the right move, but I also feel like when you're next going home, I don't think that's the right move to go back with.
Oh, not at all. No, not at all.
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
you've got to do the best move for you in the game. Yeah. However, I feel like, I feel like last time Amy could have went back to camp.
Yeah,
for example,
I think Amy
right?
should have
She
went back
didn't need to play. She didn't need to play, right? She said she had trusted and Nala would have the numbers. Like, then go back. Like, you don't need to be here. Go back. That's what I don't understand. I don't like play it. Like, I love all the players, but I don't love the idea of like, I can be safe this round if I do this, but I know I'm safe already. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, use your vote. Your vote is worth a lot.
Can we also, I want to sort of bring back to that clue that Santoni gave it to Chappie. Do you think that's a good move? Like, why she's handing out information like that to other
She's building a relationship with Chappies.
Okay.
She's using it to build a relationship with Chappies, right? Chappies fully trusts this girl. Maybe not now, but like, he had full trust in this girl, and she was able to pull a blindside off without even thinking about it. Right? And that's indicative of her using her advantages to her best interest. Like, she used an idle clue to get, like, to have an alliance with someone, right? She didn't even have to use the idol. She just had to use the clue. Like, she could have got the idol way beforehand. You have no idea, right? And she's just using this. She's just using this clue just to like build trust with someone. It's like just using a random piece of paper to like build trust with someone. Like, it's great gameplay. Like, I can't fault that.
But I feel like she's giving way too many information. Like, I think you only need to give her one to sort of build that relationship. But then I can, who knows? She's trolling him, like, giving all this information, like notes. But like,
say for example, if someone gives you 2 or 3 like pieces of paper and parchment, you don't think they've got another one up their sleeve. She has the idol at Tribal up her sleeve.
But like, maybe he told Chappie as well.
Like,
we've never shown. Maybe he told Chappie as well that we don't know about it.
No, I highly doubt it. They would have shown that. They would have shown that. Because otherwise he'd be...
Maybe put it in the later episodes.
But you know what I mean? Like, if she's giving like multiple things to someone, right? They're going to like be fully trustworthy of this person because they've received multiple things. Like, if it's just an idle clue, you could be like, oh, sort of maybe they're still like, they're trustworthy, but maybe they're not. But like, if you give the idle clue plus the parchment from the location that they were at, so he has full knowledge, like, in his eyes, he's got every single information out of this girl. So he can put his trust in her now moving forward.
In another way, Josh, it might help too, because whatever happens in episode 5, I'm going to be interested to see how Santoni gets herself out of this, because she voted probably his ride or die out of the game. And this was smart for her game, because maybe that puts him. Can you imagine the Survivor reality where Chappies is like in Santoni's pocket? Like that's her number, like her vote. Like if you just put these two on paper, just looked at them, you go, oh, Chappies would never align with her. Chappies is not gonna just do what she says. But it might turn into a situation where Chappies is like, I don't know what to do in this game. I've been losing. My alpha status is being knocked down by people here, Santoni, Marisa, and maybe he's going to get to a point where he really has to rely on other people. And I'd like to see that version of Chappies if we get to see it.
Yeah. The way we're saying it though is there's no alpha male in Zamba. There's an alpha woman, and her name's Santoni, right? And she is just dominating. She is just slaying everyone, and this is all from the Immunity Island twist, which low-key I love, because like she would have been gone first. Like she would have been gone second in that second tribal if it was just a normal tribal cancel. Everyone like, oh, she's an easy boot. But now we're seeing people out there that were early boots that now are playing, and it's just, I love it. I love it so much.
Anything? So where we left off? Sorry.
Tribal.
Okay, let's go to tribal. What do you think about the tribal?
It's standard, to be honest. Like, there's a bit of a call out of misogyny, and then I found it quite hilarious how there was like, no, none of that happened, and then Carla's like, no, it did.
She said, roll the tapes or watch
it back, roll the tapes. Yeah.
And I think in his defense, the one thing is like, I don't think he perceives ignoring and dismissing people as misogyny. And I think maybe it could have been a clearer way to say it, because that's what I clearly saw, is that he just didn't listen to people and listen to what they wanted, listen to their opinions. He just, even when he was talking to Smash, and Smash was like on the fence, like, do I save this dude? Do I not save this dude? I don't think Smash went to bat for him, because he just was not reliable.
Can we talk about Smash in that he had this? He was telling Santoni, he's like, oh, I want to vote with Paul because I want to show my word and stuff. What do you think about that move and telling people about that? But not to Paul. But he kind of said that, like, if you have something, go find him.
Yeah, I thought it was a risky. It's always risky to tell a potential target, because you guys know, if they tell somebody and it gets back that you're the one that told, it might end up as you. But I think he did it as safely as he possibly could, which was much. It was kind of like Amanda Kimmel going back to Heroes versus Villains, saying like, you maybe should play an idol, even though that was a complete lie. I feel like it was done in that way, that maybe he could still get out of it if it had gotten back to him.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on, like, because like we look at the tribes, right? And they've taken out two very strong like guys out of their tribe, like two very like fit, strong guys out of their tribe. Like we see other franchises, especially Australian Survivor, focus on keep the tribe strong, which is the most boringest shit ever. But anyway. But I love it. Like we're gonna be at the merge with like no physical threats, and we're gonna be having like 15-minute endurance challenges, and like I'm keen for it.
But Josh, Australian Survivor is different because there's a lot of emphasis on the physical part. So like, I mean, I kind of get why people lean that way, but so it's sort of production fault. They have to really fix it if they want to have different types of. But
is there really a focus on like? Is there really like a focus on physical stuff when we see like this challenge, right? For example, right, this challenge would run in Australia and it'd be the same, right? It'd be exactly the same if they ran this challenge in Australia. It wouldn't be any different. The Australian ones, yes, they have a couple of things where there's like weight focused stuff, but like there's a lot of weight focused stuff in other seasons as well, right? in other like American seasons and other seasons as well. I just think it's the Australian mindset of like the Aussie battler, like the strong like farmer man, like that type of mindset that like everyone goes out there thinking like that's what they see as like the strong person. Like that, I don't think that, like, even for example, like the future episode of future season of Australian Survivor is brains versus brawn, right? So we're not going to see, like, I know that you might say we might see some like strength based challenges, but they're not going to allow that if they've got, like, for example, a brain tribe.
You never know.
I feel
it's
like,
Australian Survivor.
I feel like, and if they do, then it's stacking, and I don't agree. But I feel like we're moving out of that now. Where like originally, like when Survivor Australia was new, it was just like, oh, who's the fittest, who's the strongest type thing. But like we even see like people like Christy won. She wasn't like fit or strong or anything like that. So I don't think it matters. Like if you look at all of the winners of Australian Survivor, besides David,
besides him,
besides David, who's really physically fit and strong.
But it's different because the pre-merge were really emphasis on the physical part, but then the post-merge sort of more emphasis on the social part. So like,
yeah, so like, what does that prove though? Like, for example, right? You look at all of like the strong people trying to get the strong people so they get further into the merge. That doesn't prove anything. Like, there is no winner. Like, besides David, there is no winner in Australian Survivor, right? That actually has been like the biggest physical threat or anything like that moving forward. Like it doesn't make any sense to keep them in. No, anybody can win. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you're in a tribe getting decimated down to 3 people, right? We see Christy still win from that position against all these strong people. Like it doesn't matter. And that's what I hate about Australian Survivor is they're always focusing on these strength things. I don't want to go to tribal. Get over it. That's Survivor. Like go to tribal, go to every single tribal council, like fight your way through the end. Like that's Survivor. Absolutely. Challenges have nothing to do with it, in my opinion. Like get rid of challenges. I know it's boring, but get rid of challenges.
It is boring, but there is an org out there that is based on that. It's Survivor with no challenges.
Have the social and strategy side of the game, and that's it. Have no physical side of the game, right? And I bet you'll still have very similar winners.
I bet you do as well. I think, the struggle with that for now, I think we're kind of digressing, but to think about that season, even if they put out a puzzle challenge, that's going to be skewing it towards the brains potentially. So I think they're going to have a tough time with the fans based on like the types of challenges they put out there, because everyone's going to be like, oh, this was set up for this team. This was set up for this team. So honestly, all I can hope for that season is an early swap like this season so that people don't think the whole season is skewed based on like 4 physical challenges in a row, 4 brains get knocked out, and then you have a pagonging for the rest of the season. And that was completely preventable if they had thought through the challenges. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
I blame, like, to be honest, like whenever you see a pagonging on any show, I do blame like the cast.
The casting.
It's not production's fault at all, ever, right? Regardless of whatever happens, like pre-merge or whatever. Like, I don't care if they give like 8 challenges focused at the brain tribe, right? It's still the cast's fault for allowing a pagonging to happen, because they've either one like played scared the whole time. They've like just been trying to like stay safe as a group, right? Instead of like trying to make sure that like they're the one on top and they're the one that's going to win, like by using other people. Like that's my thought process. And like people always argue with me about this, but like I always blame pagongings and everything on cast, not crew, or not on the twist of the season or whatever.
That makes sense. Absolutely. It's a lot of groupthink that occurs when pagongings occur, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I mean, there isn't much to touch on tribal, though, to be honest. Like Josh said, like, it's pretty cut and dry. Like, I feel like we're watching Paul's demise in this episode. Like, I feel like they're not giving us a lot of reasons to vote for anybody else. And the other 2 the other votes are Carla and Warda, which we have such positive feelings for going into this. So I really feel like it's literally watching like Paul just trip over himself till he falls out of the game.
Essentially, Paul's edit is like he's misogynist and he eats a lot, so we're going to get rid of him.
I think you should also watch the if you go on Twitter, I think there's a sort of after behind the scenes where he actually trashed the whole entire tribe besides Chappies.
Oh.
Yeah, he was calling Sean a nerd. He should have stayed in IT. He was calling Carla like a private schoolgirl, and then
Why didn't they have this on the episode? That's amazing.
He's like in the Ponderosa already, so they actually don't. They usually don't include that. It's like in the Ponderosa, he's eating a chicken. He's like to water, and he's like biting off the chicken roast. So like he's just like eating.
Really very selfish. I guess we should go to our last segment.
So before that, I was gonna say, well, I will bring out Paul knows the idol. He knows the clue.
Yeah, Paul does know the idol location.
But however,
Santoni told Paul the idol location of the other idol in the other tribe.
But it's the same.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that.
But what? It just boggles. Like it just. Why don't people?
It's
actually...
Paul. It's Paul. It's Paul. I don't think Paul. Like from what we've seen, I don't think he's smart enough to realize that it's the same idol clue for both camps.
And I don't think I think he's pretty confident as well. To be honest, I feel like he's just like, no, I'm not going.
And we know how good he is at listening. I'm surprised he remembered the clue to give it to Tyson during the challenge.
Because it's quite complicated. Like if you're trying to tell me like 3 steps something north and then like west.
Yeah. So the last segment we have, Kirk. I don't know if you're listening or not, but we have a kiss, marry, kill segment that we have at the end of each episode. So this is players we would like to kill. So somebody who's done something bad in the episode, done something wrong. Marry somebody who's leading up to like potentially being a winner, and then a kiss is essentially somebody who's pulled off like a power move in this game.
Do we want to start with a kiss? Let's start with a kiss first. Like, be nice.
Okay. So a kiss is like a power move. A marry is like a potential winner.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like, kiss is someone like stood up to you in this episode. Doesn't have to be like make a killer move. Like you can define someone just stood up in this episode. Marry something like, you know, in the future you can see like they're doing well and then be like, oh, like it will have a breakout episodes coming there for them. And kill is basically, you know,
oh god,
someone who's doing a lot of bad moves.
Pick wrong. I'm so sorry.
Kirk, I'll let you do the honors. Do you want to do the kiss?
Yeah, for this episode, oh gosh, there's just so many people I like and so many small moves I like. But guys, I gotta give it to Stantoni because like she made the choice to get out of her original like maybe easy alliance. She was not even in an easy position in the first place. So she's the one that really started everything, I think, to get Paul out. So I'm gonna give the kiss to her. Maybe I should marry her, but I'm gonna kiss her first.
My kiss I'm giving to Carla. I think her pulling off like not going to Immunity Island and then coming back and then showing Water that she's completely can be trusted by her. I think that's a big move. Like she's showing a lot of trust and she's proving that, you know, she can be trustworthy and her vote does mean something this vote as well. So that is my kiss. Wow,
you guys keep stealing all my... So my first option and my second option, I was like, my third option. I don't have any... and I was really have to just like scramble to find my third option. Like, who else? God. Who do you guys have in mind, Kirk? Do you have any other kiss?
Oh, well, yeah. Like my other kiss would probably be Warda from this episode. For me personally, like I don't think she made the strongest moves, but I think she made a social play with Carla that's going to be pivotal moving on. And I just think, I don't know. I have a feeling that connection's vital for either Carla or Warda.
So how about kiss Marisha? Because it's her daughter's birthday that episode.
I love Marisha. She's great. My marry, I guess. Somebody who's building themselves up for a good finish, I would probably give it to Dino.
You picked mine as well.
Now, we all killed him at the start. But I think the fact he's building like relationships and other people are now saying they like Dino is like such a big thing moving forward. Like he's winning food for his tribe, he's winning challenges for his tribe, people are liking him. He started off as an underdog. There's all these like positive, really, really, really positive vibes moving for Dino moving forward. So that's my marry.
How about you, Kirk?
I'm going to marry, I know she was just kissed, but I'm going to marry Marisha because of how she played this challenge. I'm a family person. She did it for her kids. I'm a sucker for that, guys. Like that will always get me right to the heart whenever a survivor, like when it burns and so the fire in them. And to me, that stuck out to me when I saw her in that challenge. I saw that survivor spirit that could get to the end and take this. And I think her and Dino together actually would be a great survivor couple trying to get to the end together.
Yeah. Santoni's been mentioned as well, so I'll marry Santoni because what she did this episode. I mean, she's continuing sort of prove her ability is, so I'm really impressed. And I mean, next episode might be, I don't know whether a downfall or or even set her up even higher. So it would be interesting to see because we will see more of Santoni. All right, can I get my first kill? Yeah, can I get that first kill? Okay, kill. So I don't want to mention Paul because it's too obvious. So so how about Amy with that lie? Because I just feel like it's unnecessary. But
yeah, that's mine too. I feel like there is no other person who could really kill this episode, either Amy or Paul. I don't think there's actually any two other people that played badly this episode.
How about Chappie though?
No, I still don't think he plays bad though. Like, I think Chappie's he's still set up well.
Yeah.
Even though he lost his alliance member, I feel like he has a lot more better social connections than.
Can I suggest one other person? Maybe not a total kill. Maybe it grazed him. Smash.
Yes. Yeah.
His game wasn't perfect. It seemed a little murky. I don't know. It's not a kill. It's a questionable.
I feel like he's not playing the game. He's just playing this loyal, take my word's like goal. Like, and he doesn't want to cause any sort of ripple or drama. So, I mean, you come to this game to vote people out. That's the sort of the mechanism of the game. Like, you can't just I don't want to do this because I feel like I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Like, this is the game to hurt people's feelings. So get on it or get out.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that is the end of this. Does anybody have anything else they want to add before?
Should we briefly mention the the preview for next episode? Because we got about to see Teresa break out the end.
Yeah. We see her. Well, it's sort of pushing towards a Vuna tribal. It's what it looked like anyway. However, maybe they just want us to believe that.
She's doing that "you have to earn my trust" speech again, which is
I don't understand that. I'm sorry, if you're on the bottom.
I don't know. Yeah.
If you're on the bottom, nobody has to earn your trust. They'll just vote you out. They don't want to have to try to get something that they don't need. You know what I mean? Like it's
the game of Survivor. You're literally everyone's gaining everyone's trust, Teresa. It's a two-way street, honey.
I feel like she has a lot of promising future, but she just killed it every time. Like, she knows she's in the bottom. She has a correct assessment, and she does nothing to improve it, which is boggles me. It's like, no, you're bottom, then trying to
the fact that she's not trying to improve it and not being like, I'll give you everything. just keep me. Like, she's not trying that either. Like, it's just, she's like, no, you have to earn my trust. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no, people are just going to vote her. To be honest, I think she won't last much longer.
And it's so true, Vince, because it's so hard. The hardest, what people don't know when you play Survivor, the hardest thing to know is when you're on the bottom. It is so hard because people are great liars. They're convincing, or they won't tell you all the information. So when you know you're on the bottom, Josh, you are right. You have to actively do something because your butt is going to stay there until you can switch things. You can't, unless you have an advantage, you have to get other people involved.
Yeah, and I don't get what's the point, like, whinging about, like, oh, no one's talked to me and stuff, but, like, then you go and talk to people. It's how it works.
That's the game.
All right, guys, I do actually have to leave myself, personally. But thank you for coming. It was great to talk about this episode.
Thank you, Kirk. This was a blast, guys. It's my summer, so on my Friday nights, if I am still awake and not too drunk, I'd love to join you guys.
Or you can come as during drunk. That's even better.
Okay, I'll have. Yeah, if Stan Tony gets eliminated at some point, I will probably be drinking a glass of wine in her honor.
I don't think that's happening for quite some time.
Okay, I'm glad.
Hopefully not.
to hear that.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for watching us, and see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See ya.